United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon is calling on the leaders of Sudan and South Sudan to meet as soon as possible to resolve tensions between the two countries. The presidents of the two countries had been scheduled to meet in Juba today, but the summit was cancelled early last week after a wave of border clashes erupted between the nations. In a phone conversation on Monday, U.S. President Barack Obama urged South Sudanese President Salva Kiir to avoid a military confrontation with Sudan. As tensions over the disputed region of Abyei continue to rise, some fear that South Sudan might be drawn into a full-fledged war with Sudan. In part 2 of my interview with Luka Biong Deng, co-chair of the Abyei Joint Oversight Committee, he addressed that concern and other issues.
I think the South does not need to go for war on Abyei. The South, as a new member state of the United Nations, they should explore other options, legal options, through which they can be able to get the...
And I'll talk about having a stronger, viable southern Sudan. We're hearing of war, ethnic differences that have led to deaths and displacements. We're even hearing of accusations of corruption and massive corruption. So what do you make of how Juba is handling issues? Is it overwhelmed, or are you guys in charge?
It is true we are having some fundamental issues facing the South. Because the South started just from a war of 21 years, and then it started not having the institutions. So we have a very weak capacity and institutions. And then you have all this oil coming, you are bound to see those patterns. And these are the issues that we need to recognize. But the important thing is how to overcome them.
Yes.
The other issue is the issue of conflict that you are talking about. You know, we have a lot of hidden tensions in the war itself. We fought the war for 21 years. And we have a lot of grievances that we have not yet been able to address. This is a manifestation of how we need to handle at the grassroots level these grievances. And I think the example of South Africa, we need to get to a healing process. So we have to have a bumpy process, and it is normal. But the way the nation is going to overcome them, I see a very hopeful picture for the South.
South Sudan is starting almost from a clean slate. I mean, it has the benefit of examples around it, and therefore, ideally, should be expected to avoid the pitfalls of other countries. Yeah. But we're seeing, for example, a tendency of not owning up to certain issues. Former Finance Minister, for example, Abyei, saying, you know, after being accused of the loss of finances, he said he did not take any money. He shifted the blame actually to you, as having been the SPLM as treasurer, and I think Pagana Mum as Secretary General of SPLM and the Governor of Central Bank of South Sudan. And these are kind of things you keep seeing across the continent of Africa, you know, shift, blame. And now the question is, what is your take on that? You've actually been put on the picture on that.
The most important thing is that the government of South Sudan, or the Republic of South Sudan, are now getting themselves into a really rigorous auditing. And that audit is actually producing these results, which is a good sign of a new state. And given the fact that these are the issues of governance, and I feel it's very important that we look at those ones. There are two things I think the minister was talking about. You have the government, and you have the party. So the party has to have now what he said, whatever he transferred to the SPLM, the party should come with an audit report about what is happening. And I don't see it as an issue, because we are very confident how these resources have been managed and have been utilized. But I think we should not overplay it also. And I'm one of the people, I believe, the magnitude of corruption that people are saying may not be in the same way. It's more to do with the capacity and the ignorance of how to manage these resources. But the good news is that the very fact that these things are coming out to the public. So it's very important now for the people in picture, I mean, in context, to really to make sure that to account for what is happening.
You had a period when you had anticipation. You were fighting vigorously to have this new nation, South Sudan, and then you got it. You are in free South Sudan, your own country. How does it feel? What is how can you contrast the two?
a really satisfaction and happiness. But saying that, I could say maybe I underestimated also building a nation is not an easy process. It is true we raise the flag. It is true we enjoy the independence. But I see the road is very bumpy.
Our thanks to Luka Biong Deng for speaking with us on In Focus.